That's the most they've ever shot in their lives. That's, you know, a crazy amount of ammunition. Their hands are all messed up and they're just like, man, like that was tough, but hopefully they get motivated and they want to go do stuff on their own. Hey, it's Ben from Practical Shooting Explained. One of the most common questions I get is, what do you do? And believe it or not, for me, that's a little more complicated question to answer than it is for most people, because I have this self-employed thing. I'm traveling around putting on courses, and it can be a little difficult to describe. So I thought I would make a video kind of showing you what that process is like. And I got a lot of footage of a course I put on in South Dakota, so I could bring that here to YouTube and again, show people what's going on with that. So the number one thing about being a traveling shooting instructor is that you travel. So I spend usually about 40 weeks, 45 weeks in a year. I'll be away from home, I'll be gone, and typically putting on courses or competing in matches or attending training events for myself. That's the sort of stuff that you have to do. If you want to be a traveling shooting instructor, you got to travel around. It's mostly just an annoyance for me at this point, but a lot of people freak out about traveling with guns, especially flying with guns. That seems like content for a separate video, but just right from the jump, understand that I travel quite a lot. In the case of going to South Dakota, this was a location that I could easily drive to, so it meant get up at 3:30 in the morning, drive out to South Dakota, and get to where I need to be when I need to be there. Once I get to where I need to be, setup starts. So in practical shooting matches, obviously there's stages that are built by volunteer crews. I like to use stages in a class setting, so that means that I got to build it myself, or some of the guys from the class are going to help. So, here I've got some time-lapse footage for you to see what it looks like to put a stage on the ground. Stages aren't really appropriate for your practice normally because there's just too much setup involved. But as far as like a training event, like a class, I think having a stage setup is excellent. And I also set up a normal firing line sort of thing where you'd see one target to a dude, where everybody has a target to shoot at, and then also more complicated multi-target exercises. So I go out there and set all that stuff up. I should say, a lot of the footage you're going to see here, you might have some considerations for, is this safe or is this okay? There's a lot of safety rules that the guys in the courses have to follow, and these people are vetted before they go to a class with me to make sure that they have experience going to matches, because that just puts everybody on the same sheet of music as far as safety rules are concerned. And then during the setup process, like when we're building a stage or something like that, we make sure that the angles look safe. And of course, anybody else will look at those things, and if they see something wrong, like, hey, if I shoot this target from here, the round will go through there and hit something else that that would be undesirable in some way, and then that stuff gets pointed out and corrected. So even though you might see some stuff that doesn't necessarily look safe to you, people are following very stringent rules, and I can assure you it is safe. The frequency of accidents in matches or in training, it's very low. Just have to hit the bang a little bit, keep going. Okay, so the way the courses are structured is it's essentially a how to practice class. People aren't going to get a whole lot better in 2 days of training with someone like me, but what they can do is walk away with a good idea for how to practice. So that's what my courses are structured for, is I want to show people and really demonstrate to them, if you practice in these ways, maybe you get some of those light bulb moments. People are like, oh, okay, I understand this now, and I'm going to work on this. So that's really what I'm looking for in the courses, is that people get an understanding of what they should be doing on their own, and they get some takeaways so they can go actually do that stuff. I hand out materials like this. So this is a relatively thin book called Breakthrough Marksmanship. My fundamentals courses are built around the material in here, and I tell the guys in the class, like, hey, I made this book as thin as I could. It's just the stuff that you really need to know with a really small set of drills. And this is so when people are looking at what I'm proposing they do for practice, again, they don't get overwhelmed by it. They look at that and like, okay, this is something I can actually do on my own. This is actually achievable. And then, hopefully they go and do some of the training on their own. That's, like I said, that's the point of the course, is I want people to be practicing on their own. As you're seeing here, this is stuff it's outdoors, it's fairly physical, and by the end of this, guys have been out in the sun for 2 days. They start to get really tired. They might shoot 1,500 or as much as 2,000 rounds in a 2-day class, which for a lot of the guys attending, that's the most they've ever shot in their lives. That's a crazy amount of ammunition. Their hands are all messed up, and it's like, man, like that was tough, but hopefully they get motivated and they want to go do stuff on their own. That's really my hope. So there you go, guys. I hope that gives you a real brief overview of what it's like to be teaching these classes and what's going on in them. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below and we'll maybe address them in a future video. Thanks.